We're living in an age where things are being presented to us as brand new, very progressive, very modern, when in fact they go back 5,000 to 6,000 years. This is SkyWatch TV for Wednesday, March 16th, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining me in studio, a guest who will be on a future episode or episodes of SkyWatch TV. She's been called by Vancouver media the only woman in talk radio with a titanium spine and a heart of gold, the author of the book, The Green Gospel, the New World Religion, Sheila Zilinsky. Sheila, honor to meet you today.
Thank you,
Thank you for coming down here. The green movement, we're told that this is very scientific, that the best climatologists and researchers have determined that we are heating up the planet through our human interactivity, and that we need to take steps to change this in order to save the planet. But you make the case in your book that this is really goes all the way back to Babel.
It is. It's really the Grecian, the Empire, the Roman empires, back to Nimrod, the Ammonites, the Amorites, all those nefarious ites.
Yeah.
This really goes back to that. And, you said something very profound. You said that, we're looking at this sweeping the nation because this green tsunami of globalism really is at every step of the door. I mean, we're really being promulgated with it. It's barely a day goes by when you don't hear something about climate change. Mm-hmm. So what this really explains is how climate change is affecting our planet, but we think it's a very benevolent thing to save the planet. We couldn't save the planet if we wanted to. It is under God's benevolent control, and the sun being a driver of it mostly, the ocean being a driver, but we don't want to give Mother Gaia an unprecedented fever.
The thing that makes me laugh about this, and I'm a big fan of the work of Wesley J. Smith, who writes a blog called Human Exceptionalism. He talks about the role of humanity in the hierarchy here on planet Earth. It seems to me that those that push this agenda try to make the case that humans are just one more species of animal, and yet we're the only animal that can actually have this conversation, which seems to indicate that we are kind of unique. How do the proponents of this climate change agenda, the green radicals, change the role of humanity in the design away from what God had originally intended?
Well, God is the creator of the earth, and man has dominion over the earth, and that hasn't changed. However, there's some Marxist cabal that would like you to think that you are responsible for heating the Earth's atmosphere in this runaway global warming. The fact is, Derek, we've been in an 18-year cooling trend. So again, there's some players. It started out with the Reverend Thomas Malthus. It went to, I sort of take it from not Nimrod and the Babylonian Amorites and the Edomites. I take it really from Karl Marx, who fashioned himself as kind of a scientist that thought that those with a superior brain had the right to rule, of course, us with the inferior brain, because left to our own devices, of course, we'd destroy the planet, surely. So Karl Marx, the Darwinism, Charles Darwin was a big piece of this. Of course, the evolution theory, survival of the fittest, that was very controlled. It was a controlled narrative, but also Thomas Malthus, who was a huge proponent of the fact that this earth was not going to house as many people as have it. So it's about depopulation, Derek, and that's really the green tentacles are about depopulation.
I remember back in high school when I was a debate team captain, and that one of the big disadvantages that was always presented to whatever case you would present, and I think the policy one year was significantly change America's foreign trade policy or some such thing, in order to benefit the developing world, the third and fourth world. We want to make them more prosperous. And the so-called Malthusian nightmare was like the standard disadvantage that was drawn out. You're going to make more people, and then we're going to overpopulate the earth, so we have to let them die. Is that really what this is all about? Just letting the weakest die?
That's really what it's all about. Again, selling the neo-Malthusian snake oil that's Obama, that is the Pope, that's the United Nations, all working lockstep to sell this Malthusian snake oil.
Now, the Pope, you refer to him in the book as the patron saint of the environment. And he issued that encyclical. We talked about it here on SkyWatch TV quite a bit last summer. But he has gone on record as saying that human population levels don't have any impact on global warming. Why do you suspect that there may be another message here or maybe another agenda?
Well, the Pope, again, now you've got to remember, he took his papal title from St. Francis of Assisi, who is a devout admirer, they say, of nature, more like a devout worshiper of nature. So again, Pope Francis, or George Bergoglio, is a huge proponent of wealth redistribution. So again, this fits nicely in that little package of wealth redistribution. Leo Decis, this 184 unprecedented climate encyclical, was issued to tell the 1.2 billion Catholics on the planet, listen up. We are giving Mother Gaia fever, and we need to do something radical about it now. And what he actually went on to say, and this was one of the things he presented, was we have an answer, a global climate authority. So again, Derek, you get into the global governance piece of this, which is one of the sort of the three-pronged approach of world global authority, not unlike Alice Bailey said in her book, we need a one world authority.
So how are they, why did they choose climate change and human impact on climate as the lever to force us into this one world government system?
That's a great question. Well, I think we all have a vested interest to protect the environment. But if the sky is falling in, what better scenario to take something that impacts everybody on a global scale? And of course, the sky is falling in, the planet's heating up, the polar bears are all dying, the sea levels are rising 20 feet, we're melting off the polar ice caps. But what if global warming was a good thing? And what if CO2 was essential for life and the humans would die without it? And that actually is the underpinning of this, is that CO2, as the EPA classified it, as a deadly pollutant.
A greenhouse gas, yeah.
What you breathe out's an issue, Derek.
Yeah, well, I call it plant food, but
Is it actually?
what do I know?
It's a necessary byproduct for life on this planet. And when CO2 drops off certain parts per million, all the trees die. Well, without trees, without plants, you have no humans. God knew what he was doing when he designed the earth. And so this religion of environmentalism, it's the fastest growing religion on the planet, and even churches are embracing it lock, step, and barrel.
One of the things that really made me laugh last year was reading a study that showed that areas with lots and lots of trees, because of the dark green colors of the leaves, actually are warmer than places where all the trees have been cut down.
The plants love the extra CO2. But people think that CO2 correlates when temperature rises. But the truth is that temperature rises, then CO2 goes up. It's not the other way around. But Obama uses this term carbon pollution, and it's the most ridiculous term. Carbon is a solid. CO2 is something different. So even Obama doesn't know what he's saying, but yet nobody bats an eye.
You know, we just got the earth just, it's, it is more of a religion than it is a science, because clearly the science doesn't make any sense. But because this is a globalist agenda, we take this back into ancient times. Again, you say this dates from ancient fertility worship. Does the fact that we're trying to go back to a one world government relate to the agenda of some early character in Earth's history?
Well, again, it's Nimrod fashioned himself he changed himself into something else. We know that. In fact, Tom Horn probably is one of the biggest proponents became a Gibborim. So we know there was something going on at that time. So again, you get into the genetics, the genome. Well, where are we at today? The same nefarious group, Margaret Sanger, big eugenicist, huge racist, the founder of Planned Parenthood, who have no issue selling aborted baby parts to the highest bidder. Well, this is not unlike this book. Talks about the fact that the climate is simply a smoke screen for a much broader agenda. It's not about saving the planet. It's not about protecting the environment. It's about a global one world system, an antichrist system, really. And what better way to bring it in than under the benevolent guise of being eco-friendly.
Eco-friendly, and teaching our children that, we need to save the polar bears.
That's right.
Our churches are getting involved in this, you say.
Yes.
How is this being brought into the Christian church?
In a lot of different avenues, but what's stunning is there's I talk about this in my book, there's an evangelical climate initiative that was brought into these states in about 2005, and it's rapidly progressed into an all-out fervor where they're giving grants to churches to go green. So churches really, Christianity is at war, and they don't even know it, Derek, because of these seemingly, again, benevolent guise of protecting our environment for our grandchildren. After all, we have to do something. We couldn't save the environment, though, if we wanted. It's the ultimate form of idolatry and complete narcissism to think that we can do anything about God's but very benevolent design. We are given dominion over the land, not the other way around. This is about, this agenda is about the creation being worshipped over the Creator. And I think God has a problem with this green gospel.
And in ancient times, one of the gods that's mentioned most often in the Old Testament is Molech. And Chemosh also, another of the ancient gods who demanded child sacrifice. In ancient times, it was a big statue shaped like a bull with a fire underneath it into which children were dropped and burned alive.
Well, not really unlike the down at the Bohemian Grove, the big 40-foot owl, very similar.
The cremation of care ceremony.
Cremation of care, yes.
And we know that God's judgment against the Manasseh, king of Judah, son of Hezekiah, was for putting his child through the fire. Today, we just do it in a very clinical setting. We wrap it in science, and
we do it on the corner at the abortion clinic. And yet it's interesting because this green gospel that's woven into everything, all indoctrinating our children, it's, again, because it so plays on the heartstrings, the emotions. Because after all, you have a vested interest to keep your, be a good steward of the earth. But the bottom line is that we're rehashing, reviving a very ancient form of paganism. Pantheism, really, is what this is. And again, Al Gore said in his book, Earth in the Balance, Mother Gaia is a living, breathing, sentient being that needs full worship of her infestation. But see, they also need to rid that infestation that is giving the great goddess Gaia a fever. And Al Gore said on the David Letterman show, if you have a baby and the baby has a fever, you need to do something drastic right there. He's calling for profound reorientation of all planet citizens in a global planetary citizenship, which they launched in Paris at the COP21. They launched the idea of becoming a global citizen under a global climate authority. I mean, it sounds so... A global citizen, it sounds really wonderful, doesn't it?
Yes, the brotherhood of man.
It's the brotherhood of man,
Yeah.
until you scratch the surface.
Yeah, and see where the ugliness underneath. Well, Sheila Zilinsky will be a guest on an upcoming episode of SkyWatch TV. Watch for that, and do watch for her book as well, The Green Gospel, The New World Religion. It's an important topic and one that relates to the move to bring us back to Babel, which is what this is all about. Today being Wednesday, SkyWatch TV, we're on this afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on the Cornerstone Network, coast to coast. You can find out where those stations are that carry the Cornerstone Network by logging on to SkyWatchTV.com and then check the top menu bar there for channel listing. During the month of March, we say thank you for your support of $20 or more with this gift to you. It is the DVD featuring Alan Keyes, former U.S. Ambassador, presidential candidate, America's Courts, Progress and Peril. Very timely right now. And this keepsake plaque, again, our gift to you to say thank you for your support during March while supplies last for your donation of $20 or more. You can find us online at skywatchtv.com. All the links there to all of our social media sites where you can click subscribe, save, and share your way to help us with just a click of the mouse. Again, skywatchtv.com, our website. My email address for your comments and questions, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert. This is SkyWatch TV.
From the time she was little, Nita dreamed of horses. Every childhood fantasy rode on the back of a heroic white steed, coming to save the day.
I don't know how long I've had this love in my heart for horses. It's just always been there. And when we were little girls, my sister and I would play all day long. I was always the white horse and she was always the little pink pig.
Let's pretend Lightning and Rosie can fly.
But everything changed in a heartbeat. On December 9th, 1971, a tragic car accident claimed the life of my dad and my best friend and my little sister. And I wondered after that if there was anything left to believe in.
Move aside, let the ambulance through. Please move aside.
As a child of 13, I felt like I had lost practically everything. And I wondered, is this it? I mean, where do I go from here? I could not have imagined back then how God could use horses, of all things, to restore my faith and vision for the future.
Starting April 19th, get your copy of Nita Horn's inspirational new book, No Fences, and learn for the first time her amazing story of loss, survival, determination, and healing. How the vision and love God gave her for these beautiful and majestic animals eventually led to the 150-acre Whispering Ponies Ranch, a general retreat facility, as well as a premier training location that specializes in using and gifting therapeutic animals to benefit the herding. Other care facilities, schools, and ministries across the nation.
When God puts something in your heart, it's there for a lifetime.